Hi everyone, I'm Gautam aka The Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation coach, and today we are going to be talking about manifesting in steps or going straight to the end. Now, before I do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching, so I offer one-on-ones, courses, and masterclasses. I also have a free Facebook group and a paid Facebook group, and last but not least, I also have a mailing list. If you guys need any information on any of those things, feel free to email me or DM me via Instagram for more information, and I'll be happy to guide you on everything. And without further ado, guys, let's get to it. So, this was actually a question in my content suggestions form. And real quick, before I move on any further, I just wanted to say that not all content suggestion form questions will be made in a video format. Some will be made as an Instagram post or, an FB article as well. It really depends on whether or not the topic can be made as a video and whether or not I have explored those topics before as well. So I just want to say that really quick because some of you really want me to make a video on all of those topics, but the thing is that there's not enough substance sometimes to talk about a specific topic in a video format. Like some videos can really be so short that I might as well make an Instagram post on it. Like that might be more effective. So I just wanted to put it out there just in case. Anyways, moving on. So I'm just going to read that question really quick and I'm going to be pasting it in the description as well. So the question is, and I quote, manifesting in steps versus manifesting the end. Example, manifesting baby steps like a text, a date, or a SP knowing me when he isn't aware of my existence, or manifesting a relationship directly, end quote. So this is a question that many people ask, both beginners and veterans of the community alike. You can be knee deep into your manifestation journey and still have this doubt. Now the core of the problem is not whether manifesting in steps is better than going straight to the end or vice versa. That's not even the question. Rather, the core of the matter is impatience. People are really impatient because they can't get to see the end in their mind and they're not fully convinced of it yet. They, as a result, need some sort of a reassurance, a booster of sorts to propel themselves forward. And they also have this impression that their manifestations is going to take a while, and they come to this conclusion simply by assessing where they are right now and where they would like to be. And they have this logical steps that one would have to take to reach from point A to point B. And they come to this conclusion, hey, this is going to take a while. So why not manifest something in the middle to serve as a booster or a reassurance of sorts before I continue climbing this mountain of desire that I have right now. And that is the kind of perception that they have. It may not be 100% accurate for everyone out there, I understand that, but generally speaking, broadly in the community, this is kind of like the impression. When somebody asks me this question, this is it, really the core of the problem is impatience. And they might tell me, oh, I have been manifesting for XYZ months or a year or two now, but it's still not here. Then why am I impatient? That's not impatience. And I say, sure, that's not impatience, but that's also not having faith in the unseen. That's also not being confident in your vision enough to persist in that, which is why you're going back and forth. And every single minute you spend debating whether or not you should be manifesting something in the middle or go straight to the end, that's taking you out of the end state. Because if I already have something, why would I contemplate about the middle or manifesting the middle, so to speak, because I already have the end desire itself. So it doesn't make sense for me to think this way. And if you really come at it from this perspective, you realize that this is really an impatience issue rather than manifesting in steps or going straight to the end issue. To me, that's what this is all about. It's having faith in the unseen rather than, whether you should manifest in steps or going straight to the end. And I will answer that question as well. I'm not trying to, dodge the question or whatsoever, but I really want to get you guys to see what's really the problem here. Because if you see Neville's stories, for example, how many stories did he say, okay, I manifested the middle before manifesting the end? Never. Even when he wanted an SP, even when he wanted to go from Barbados to New York, when he was stuck, he wasn't like, okay, I'm going to manifest a call from the company where they are telling me that they have gotten a seat and then I'm going to go to New York with my family. No, he simply imagined himself climbing the ramp into the ferry and him on his way to New York. That was his end, and he got it the next day. So if I were you, I would, as much as possible, aim for that. And in order to really reassure yourself, saturate your mind with the end scene as much as possible. Take some time off throughout the day to sit down and imagine the end as vividly as you can. Think of it like you are wearing a pair of virtual reality goggles. Look up, look right, look left, look down, look all around the scene and immerse yourself in it. See your SP in the scene. See you guys walking on the beach, or wherever your dream destination may be, or if it's your home, for example, see it vividly in your mind. Give it sensory vividness, as Neville would say. Really immerse yourself in the end scene as much as possible and go by your day. And do this as many times as you need to anchor yourself in the truth that your desires are already a done deal. If you do this consistently, and if you always fall back on this, you will never even have this like debate on whether or not you should be manifesting in steps or going straight to the end. And this is probably the most easiest and most efficient way of getting your desires, honestly. And I will explain that as well. But really, if you guys are having this question, rather than thinking, okay, what should I, stop treating it like a problem to solve. Firstly, this isn't problem solving. And secondly, ask yourself, okay, where is this coming from? What is the core of the issue here? Why do I have this sense of urgency? Or why do I have this sense of doubt regarding my desire? Why do I think that it will take long? Or why do I think that I need this in order to reassure myself? Where is that coming from? Where is this lack of faith stemming from? And get to the core of those issues and answer those questions and resolve those limiting beliefs there. As much as this is about manifesting SP, this is about you and your core beliefs. So if I were you, I would take some time off to answer those questions and to resolve those conflicts in my heart as well. Because when you do, what it does is that it strengthens your mind and you will remain unfazed in the 3D regardless of what it shows you. One of the reasons why Neville was the way he was, I remember there was this one incident, I believe he and his wife just returned from a clinic or somewhere, and I think they called and they said something like, okay, you have XYZ bill that you have to pay, but he was already covered by Medicare or something like that. And the lady called and she was like, this is something that you guys have to pay, and he kind of explained he already have this Medicare and something like that, and that this has to be covered by that for his wife. And I think she said like, oh, not to worry, I will see what I can do or something like that. And he told the girl like, dear, can I tell you something? Like, I never worry. And as simple as it may seem, I really feel that Neville really came at it from that perspective, because he was so unfazed by the 3D, even when there were seemingly insurmountable odds, like he did in the military, for example, or even with the ferry to Barbados, because he had to be there in Barbados by a certain time, or even when he was coming to New York from Barbados at one point with his family. So that was like much further down his timeline. Even in those types of things, when there was always some sort of a time crunch, and even when he wanted to marry his SP, there were always like time crunches, there were always like other factors at play. But one of the main reasons he remained unfazed was he was so set in his end goal and he did not contemplate anything, because he really knew that, okay, if I just focus on the end, if I focus on the outcome that I want, it has to come true. And experience taught him that was that. But he also had a lot of faith in the vision that he had seen in his mind, and he believed in it enough to push him through, to see him through whatever obstacles that may lie ahead in the middle. And that's the attitude that we should all have. Is yes, there might be certain things that you and I may perceive as unfavorable in the bridge of incidents, but you also have to say that, okay, if I believe that my desires are a done deal, however unlikely it may seem, like things will still pan out in my way. And that's really it. And if you think that maybe the SP journey is taking too long, or I do need some sort of confirmation from the 3D, you need to change that perspective. Because for the journey taking long, if you are absolutely convinced that your SP is already yours, it has to show up in the quickest and easiest way possible. So if it's taking long, that means you're not fully convinced that your SP is already yours. There is still some sort of a core belief that is preventing that manifestations from fully unfolding, and it is your job to go and find out what that is. And if you think that you need confirmation from the 3D, you need to figure out why you feel that way. Why is there a lack of faith in the vision that you see? Do you feel that it's too good to be true, or do you feel that this is never going to happen, or this is impossible? And you need to go and deal with those limiting beliefs accordingly. So as you can see, the question is never, should I manifest in steps or should I go straight to the end? Rather, the question is, okay, why do I feel the way I do? Why am I asking this question in the first place? That's really the core of the matter here. And let me talk about the exceptions, and let me talk about why somebody would even think about these questions in the first place if any of those reasons that I stated doesn't apply to you. So if you feel that you're asking this question but none of those things that I mentioned applies to you, chances are one of the main reasons you might be asking this question is a lack of clarity in your desire. So you're still contemplating whether or not you want to manifest this, and you think, okay, I still don't know if I want this SP or not, so I'm going to manifest a text or a phone call first before coming to a conclusion for the matter at hand, basically. And if you're coming at it from that perspective, I totally understand, and that's fine, but ensure that you're not dwelling in that kind of a mindset for too long, because at the end of the day, truth of the matter is that you are going to have to take a stance down the line. time. So you can't be in this kind of like mindset where, you know what, I'm going to just manifest little things here and there to test the waters, and I'm going to then decide. The truth of the matter is that you're going to have to decide sooner or later. So just keep that in mind, because I don't want you guys to prolong this state unnecessarily. And the same goes for whatever job you want to manifest or anything like that. You can definitely test the waters and whatnot, but when you can have something truly the way you want it to, you have to ask yourself, okay, do I really need that sort of like test in the 3D, so to speak? And the answer solely depends on you, but just something for you to think about. So to answer the question directly, whether or not you should manifest in steps or go straight to the end, certainly there are pros and cons to both approaches. So if you're manifesting in steps, the pros is that you get to track your progress, because you are like, okay, I'm manifesting a text, I'm manifesting a relationship, and I'm manifesting a marriage, for example. So you can see and track the progress in a very linear fashion. But again, as I always say, there are so many other ways you can track your progress, primarily through the quality of your thoughts and how you feel about the end desire. Do you feel like it's already a done deal and whatnot? So that is really the pros, is that you can really track the progress and you feel that there's a sense of progression and you feel much more reassured for sure. So that's really the pros. The cons of it is that it might be stretched out, the whole process might be stretched out longer than it needs to be. So if you're manifesting text, phone call, relationship, then marriage, that might potentially be one of the longer routes, and when compared to manifesting straight the end goal itself. So the reason why I'm saying that is because when you're manifesting the end goal, what ends up happening is that you are not telling the universe, okay, this is the route that you should take. So it's going to take the path of least resistance. It's going to take the quickest and easiest way possible for your desires to reach to you. And that is not the case when it comes to manifesting in steps. You are literally telling the universe like, okay, hey, these are the things that you should do in order to get my desires. So you are defining the route there, so it might be a longer route than it needs to be. Whereas if you are manifesting straight the end goal itself, the pros is that, like I said, it's the quickest and easiest way. It's a very straightforward approach. You just assume that it's already done and you simply persist in it until it shows up. Boom, end of story. Everybody's happy. And the cons of it is that there's a huge uncertainty there, and I'm not going to deny that, because sometimes it's as good as walking through a fog with one of those like old night lamps. And is it scary? Absolutely. Like if your country does not have like lights in certain parts, and if you have to travel through that like in a motorbike or something like that, like you will know how dark it can get. And sometimes even if you know the route, you are still somewhere like scared to go in the same route. Like when I used to go for like holidays in India, like I used to ride motorbikes, and in like pitch black darkness sometimes, and I will just be like, holy, like this is scary. Like when I look left and right and even behind me, it's pitch black dark, and all I can hear is like cricket noises and frog noises and whatnot, and the only thing I can depend on or rely upon is the headlight of my motorbike and the road. And I know, okay, if I just go in this route, I will reach my home, and that's fine. But that pitch black darkness, the only thing that's like illuminating is some random light bulb in a home that's like at the distance, in the horizons, or even the stars. And that kind of stuff like really scares you, right? I mean, I was 15 back then, but like even thinking about it now, I'm like, how did I pull that off? And my point is that that's what like manifesting the end result may feel like, because if you are coming at it from that perspective, it's just like, okay, I know my end goal and I'm taking every step, but every step that I'm taking feels like I'm stepping into the unknown. And that's where really it can trip people up, and that is one of the main reasons why people even ask like, okay, should I manifest in steps instead, because that seems so much more easier. But I kind of like discourage people almost in a way not to manifest in steps, simply because this is what manifestation is all about. Is manifestation is all about the faith in the unseen, and to realize that you can create whatever you want if you believe and persist in the assumption that your desires are already yours. And if you're manifesting in steps, I feel like it defeats the purpose, because if you're manifesting in steps, it just feels like it's more work. You're monitoring everything and you're tracking your steps and your progress, and it just becomes a chore. And for me, manifesting is all about surrendering or delegating that figuring out stuff to my higher self, so that I can just enjoy life. That's the way I view manifestations, and that's the way Neville intended it to be, and everyone else before him and folks who studied from the same mentors as him like Joseph Murphy intended it to be, is to make this as easy as possible for all of us. And this is like having a genie and delegating the tasks to him. And the last thing we will do if we do have a genie is micromanage that genie. Like, okay, if you are Aladdin and you have your genie and you are asking the genie for an SP, you're not going to be like, okay, genie, I want this SP, but I also want this SP to text me, and I also want this SP to first call me, and then I'm going to then manifest a relationship with this SP, and then I'm going to marry this SP. Your genie is going to be like, that's like 4 wishes. You only have 3, right? But like my point is, you can just ask the genie, okay, hey, genie, I want this person to be in love with me and I want to marry this person. Can you make that happen? And like, boom, there it is. Would you even micromanage that stuff? Heavens no. So if I were you, that's what I would do. Like really focus on the end as much as possible and delegate the task of figuring it all out, aka the when and the how, that is, to my higher self, the genie that's within me. And I'm just going to enjoy life in the meantime. And if you are thinking about manifesting in steps, I want you to remember this. Again, there's no right or wrong approach, and I will talk about why some people, why there are cases to be made for manifesting in steps for sure. But like if you really ask me at the end of the day, if you really ask like, okay, at gunpoint, like, okay, which one, manifesting in steps or going straight to the end, I'm going to say straight to the end at any time, because I am, for all intents and purposes, like I'm a very lazy person. Like some people think that I'm very hardworking, but I actually see myself in the opposite way. If something can be done easier, I will definitely take the easier route, and that's how we all are. And if you ask me, like, why would you want to take the harder route when there's something that you can do to get it in a much quicker and easier way? So as I said earlier, there are cases to be made for this. Sometimes, like, okay, if you're really coming from a traumatic breakup and you really want to patch things up with this person, then definitely going straight to the end may not be the ideal of situations for you. Maybe you want to take some time off, and you want to like move things slowly, so that's fine. Like, I mean, it varies from case by case. But if you ask me, like, okay, if you really have that kind of a if you just really got out of that kind of relationship in the first place, would you even want to go back into having a relationship with that person again? That's a choice that you have to make, but I'm just putting it out there. Folks who kind of like see it this way may not be thinking about the full picture. Another case where manifesting in steps may be a bit more valid is like, let's say you had a terrible injury of sorts, and then you are still in the path of recovery, and maybe like seeing the end is just it's just heartbreaking for you, because you just don't know how it's all going to pan out, especially with like health matters and whatnot. Okay, fair enough, manifest in steps. See yourself moving like one toe, for example, and then like maybe walking with like crutches, and then visualize yourself like maybe running and stuff like that. But even in that case, as traumatic as it may be, like stabilize yourself and whatnot, but like imagine yourself running as much as possible whenever you can. You might be in crutches, you might be in a wheelchair, but just like putting it out there isn't going to hurt. So as much as possible, I would definitely encourage going to the end. But again, there are cases where like manifesting in steps may seem a bit more appropriate, or maybe less traumatic for you, because it might be less triggering for you. And in that case, you know yourself the best, so pace yourself accordingly. But as soon as you can jump to the end state or the end scene as much as possible, dwell in that instead. So that's like my stance on this, guys. And with that, guys, we have come to this end of this video. If this video resonated with you, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Turn on your bell notifications so that you guys will know when I upload a new video every single week. We are still doing that 1 hour free coaching call giveaway when we reach 1111 subscribers. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram at The Seeker of Wisdom, and I will announce the winners soon as we reach 1111 subscribers. We are very, very close right now, so if you guys have not subscribed, now is the time to do so, and now is the time to follow me on Instagram. I have amazing content there as well. And as always, guys, stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.